Good evening. We are continuing the 613 commandments. 2 weeks ago, the last shiur, we arrived to 125. And the last 2 minutes of the lecture, or maybe the last 5 minutes of the lecture, was cut off by the batteries died. So I repeat the last mitzvah, number 125. The last mitzvah that is on a recording is number 124. That the Kohen cannot separate the head from the chicken when a poor person bring a chicken instead of a sheep as korban chatat. So even though they make the slaughtering, it's not to cut completely the head off. So it's just the shchita. It's called melika, malakoto, but not completely to take it out. It's actually called etzem hamifreket in the back of the neck. We also have it, and this was the last mitzvah we spoke about. We also did not to mix olive oil in the mincha, in the flour of the minchat choteh, and this one was cut off. So let's repeat that. When the Kohen, he has to put oil in a minchat choteh ani, poor person that comes to bring a sacrifice, a korban to Hashem. So this is now a person that is even more poor, that even chicken he cannot afford. So he brings a minchat solet belula bashemen, mixed, flour mixed with oil. Which oil? Everything but olive oil. You're not allowed to use olive oil. Olive oil you use for the menorah, special oil, olive oil. Even in Hanukkah we use it because it's the best oil out of all the oils. But when we bring it as korban chatat, as a sacrifice of a sinner, a poor sinner, we are not allowed to mix. The Kohen is not allowed to use olive oil for it. That's where we ended up. Mitzvah number 126. When this, it's in continuation to the previous mitzvah, when the choteh, when the sinner is a poor sinner, he brings this mincha, he's not allowed to put in it levona. Remember, if I mentioned to you that there are 11 ingredients, and 10 of them are very good, great smell, one of them is bad. When the Torah wanted to teach us the reason that one of them is bad, you can add it as the 11th one, which means you need 10 kosher one, 10 good smell. Like for instance, when you go and pray in Minyan, you need 10 Shomrei Shabbat. And anyone who is not Shomer Shabbat, you can count from 11 on, which means the first 10 has to be Shomrei Shabbat. Any Jewish ceremony must have 10 Shomrei Shabbos Jews, because clearly, according to the Torah, in order for a Jew to count as a kosher Jew, just because his mother is Jewish, that's one thing, but a person to be counted as a kosher Jew in the eyes of God, first condition is that he has to be a Shomer Shabbat. If he's not Shomer Shabbat, he expelled himself out of Judaism until further notice. When is this notice will be accepted? When he starts keeping Shabbat. 5 years, 10 years, 50 years, depend. Now, everything, this is the rule. There's always an exception to the rule, which means if a Jew grew up in Russia, in some village, and he never knew what Judaism is, bichlal, he never had an idea, then someone like this, even though he's a sinner, every sin of his life is a non-intentional sin. So when he violates Shabbat, it's because of lack of knowledge. He never heard of Shabbat. He doesn't know what it means. He doesn't know there is God. He doesn't know there is a Torah. He doesn't know there is the afterlife. He doesn't know anything. We are not talking about people who give excuses. I don't believe. Enough with your nonsense. Some of them are the biggest believers. They're just either lazy or wicked. They just don't want to do, so they use it as an excuse. We are talking a real innocent Jew that have no idea. Like he grew up, like I said, in some places that they never heard of Torah, or in a kibbutz in Israel, or his parents were very anti. They made sure he will never hear anything from religion. Someone like that you can count as one of the 10. Why? Is not such a criminal. It's an innocent criminal. He made a crime, he makes crimes, but he's not intentional, he has no idea. So he is not such a despicable criminal in the eyes of God, like someone who knows there is Shabbat and dare to violate it. You have to understand the difference. That's why I said there is an exception to the rule. So, mitzvah number, so this mitzvah, remember, this bad ingredient, you're also not allowed to mix inside the flour with the oil that you bring. You're not allowed to mix it in. Mitzvah number 127, when they bring truma to Bet HaMikdash. Truma is a donation, right, in general. But what truma means, when the people brings their gift to the Kohanim in Bet HaMikdash, so if he's a generous person, he gives 1 out of 40. Every 40 pieces of wheat, he gives one he puts one aside. That means he's a generous person. A stingy person brings 1 out of 60. He has the option. Stingy, doesn't want to give others. He has no choice. That's the minimum. That with less than that, it's already violating the law. So 1 out of 60. And average, mediocre, like most people are, sometimes generous, sometimes stingy, depend on the mood. So he gives 1 out of 50. And it adds up to millions from all the people. It adds up to a lot. It goes to Bet HaMikdash, to all the Kohanim. So what happened if he already put it aside for the Kohanim in Bet HaMikdash, and then he ate from it by mistake? He put it aside, it became holy. Once you said this money is already hekdesh, it's holy to the temple in Jerusalem. And then you forgot, you took it and you used it. That's called moel. That's violating the holiness of this truma. Now what happened? Someone who enjoyed from this truma, which was dedicated already to Bet HaMikdash, right? And accidentally eats from it. Now, we are not talking someone who does it intentionally. Then it's a very big sin. We're talking accidentally. I don't know, your kid moved around, you didn't pay attention, you ate from it, and you just realized, wow, that was holy, and I ate it. What happened? You have to pay 20% penalty for what you ate from whatever you use, Bet HaMikdash. You give replacement plus 20% extra, chomesh, 1/5 extra. As the Torah says in Vayikra, in Leviticus 5, verse 15, nefesh ki tim'ol ma'al, a person who used it without permission, והביא את אשמו, so אשר חטא מן הקודש ישלם וחמישיתו יוסף עליו. So you have to make up to the damage you made, plus 20%, and this is only because you did it not intentionally. If you did it intentionally, then it's a much bigger sin. So, this was mitzvah number 127. Mitzvah number 128, it's called mitzvat korban asham talui. If a person has a doubt if he made a sin or not, for instance, on Tuesday, he just found out that what he did on Shabbat, it's not permitted. But now he's remembering that it was around 9 o'clock. So he doesn't know if it was 8:57 or 9:01. He knows it was around 9 o'clock. What's the difference? 8:57 was still Shabbat. 9:01 was already Sunday. It's not Shabbat. Now he's not sure if he made a sin. There is a 50% chance. Or before Shabbat started, he drove his car, he was driving crazy, he was afraid to get stuck on a highway, and out of running into the house, maybe he's not sure, maybe he drove a minute into Shabbat. He's not sure, he wasn't sure, he thought Shabbat starting 2 minutes later, and then he looked in a different calendar, he was worried. He has a doubt now. When he has a doubt, he brings a sacrifice, it's called Asham Talui, which means depend if I'm guilty or not. This is the name of the sacrifice. That's the name of it, Asham. Hashem means guilty. Talui means depend. Questionable. Which means if he made a sin, that will cover for the sin. If not, not. But at least he covers no matter what. This reminds me of a famous Mishnah. There's an argument between Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Tarfon about a Jew who stole 100 dinars from his friend's pocket. And now he comes to return it. He goes into the locker room. He sees a lot of pens hanging there. And he stole, $100 from one of the pens. And then when he came back an hour later to return it, now all the pens, people wear it already. It's on them now. And he's thinking which pens it was. They all look the same. All of them now, 20 different jeans now. And they all look the same. So he said, well, I stole $100 from one of the pockets and I regret it. I came to make tshuva. I want to return it. All of a sudden, all 20 of them say, yeah, it was mine. I'm missing 100. All 20. The Mishnah gives an example of 5, but it doesn't matter. It can be 1,000,000 even. All of them now claim it's mine. And obviously, only one of them is right. The rest are all crooks, just as bad as him. So now, there's an argument. What does he have to do? There's 2 options. One option, he throw it on the table and say, here is the 100. Whoever owns it, take it. Which means, if somebody else will take it, he becomes the thief. Leave me alone. I paid it back. I did not enjoy from stolen good. Fine. Or he has to pay each one of them from the doubt. Which one is officially the law? He has to pay each one of them because of the doubt. Why? Putting it on a table does not solve the problem. The fact that somebody else took it, it's not helping you. It counts like he stole it from you. Why? You never paid back to the person you stole it from. If the person who really lost it, picked it up first, and then the thief stole it from his hand, you are covered. Why? At least for 1 second, you returned it to him, and then somebody else stole it from him. But since you left it on the table, he never got back to his hand, which means you never return what you owe. You never return. You put it here and somebody took it. It's even a question if the person who took it, if he even made a sin. Because by you putting it on the table, it could be an hefker. You say, okay, I'm giving it, the one who owns it, take it, and somebody else took it. Technically, he's not allowed to do it, but it's a question if it's considered pure stealing. It's a question. One way or the other, you did not solve the problem. You didn't solve the problem. So what happened here? Same thing over here. You don't know. Because of the doubt, since it's a sin from the Torah, then you have to do it. Maybe you did a violation. You don't take risk. So that's called Korban Asham Talui. From this, by the way, we learn many things, the way God thinking. Because God is telling a person, whenever you have a doubt, what are you going to do? You're going to live with the doubt for the rest of your life? No. You have to take steps to clarify the doubt, which means, in this case, maybe you did not do any sin. Doesn't matter. You still have to bring a sacrifice that in case you made a sin, now you're clean. Which means, even on a 50% chance, even on a 20% chance that I made a sin, 20% chance, most likely I didn't, but there's a chance. I cannot sleep well at night. One guy bought a tefillin many years ago. He paid $1,500 for it. And after a while, he went to check it, and the person told him it's not kosher. Tefillin, you know what it is. First of all, when you buy tefillin, one mistake you should never do. You should never buy tefillin in a store. Never. Even if the owner has a very impressive beard. Why? Store, it's a place of a business, not a place of a holiness. They sell, they buy, they sell, they buy, they sell. It's very hard to blame an owner of the store that sell, I don't know, hundreds of pairs a month or thousands of mezuzot a month. And what do you expect him to start opening each one and check if the sofer cheated him, not cheated him, if he gave him the right merchandise? It's impossible. He checked once or twice and that's it. Because he works with volume. He trusts the people. He doesn't even know most of the time what he buys. He's always counting that in case it's not kosher, it's his fault, not mine. I never gave guarantee. It's not you buy a refrigerator, they give you a 1-year warranty. The company guaranteed the refrigerator. The owner of the store does not give you any warranty. Well, I wrote it. What do you want from me? I'm only a dealer. I buy from here and sell to you, right? So this is a problem already. Second, it's always much more expensive than buying it directly from the hand of a sofer or someone who brings it to you for cost price on a sofer. This guy paid $1,500, and in the end it was non-kosher. The cheaper the tefillin is, the chance that it's not kosher is much higher. There is no way in the world that the tefillin would cost you $300-400 and it's going to be kosher in a high level. No way. Why? Because it takes a long time to prepare. It's involved with leather, from the animal. It's a lot of work, and they have to pay a lot of people. And until the sofer, and how much a good sofer charge for his parshiot, it's impossible to get it for this kind of prices. So this person paid a decent price, and in the end it still wasn't kosher. There's no guarantee. Even if you buy the most expensive pair, maybe an accident happen. Even if it's a very good sofer, it can happen. It's a handmade thing, handmade. It's like a doctor. He can make 100 operation, 1 out of 100, the patient die. You know, one little mistake he made, nobody knows, and he killed the patient. But 99 he saved, but 1 he killed. And then he saved another 200, and another 1 he killed. And then he saved another 500, and another 2 he killed. Over a period of 40 years, the doctor killed about 50 people with his mistakes. Is he guilty of these mistakes in Shamayim? The answer is no. If you hold him guilty, he would never agree to operate. Who wants to kill people and be blamed for that? If he was drunk, or he didn't sleep at night, then he's a murderer, yes. If he went to the bar and drank lechaim until 4 in the morning, and then at 8 o'clock he was in the surgery room, and the patients die, yes. Or if he takes drugs, yes. His hands is shaking, he's not focusing. If he had a personal problem that was occupying his mind, and he didn't give him a peace of mind, and he came to the surgery as usual, then he's a criminal. He's neglecting the life of a person, he can destroy him. But if he did everything correct, and mistake can happen, nobody is perfect, it's mishamayim. That's what Hashem wanted. That's it. Same thing can happen with tefillin. So what happened now? He paid for the tefillin, and it was non-kosher. They told him, hey, take a second opinion. Why? Sometimes there are people who check tefillin, every minor thing right away. It's not kosher, right away. And it's 100% kosher. So if they tell you right away not kosher, not guaranteed that it's not kosher. It can still be kosher. So they told him, go to a second opinion. So he went to a second opinion, and he told him kosher. Okay. So now, what is the law? יבוא השלישי ויכריע ביניהם. Let's get a third opinion. If it's going to be to this side or to that side, I'll know, 2 against 1. Who did he decide to go? The most important rabbi in the world, Rav Eliashiv. He went with his tefillin to Rav Eliashiv. Rabbi, this is what the sofer that say that is not kosher, he marked the problem. Tell me, is that means that I have to bury my tefillin and buy a new one? Or I can use it? So he looked at that and said, it's kasher b'di'eved. It's kosher, but with a question mark. Which means it stays like this. We have to explain in English. It's hard to explain, but I'll try. There is 2 status of kosher. Kosher, with no doubt, from the beginning to the end, nobody argue. And kosher, after the act, it's like almost there is no choice, so we certify it. Kosher, fine. And there is completely not kosher. Completely not kosher. So there are 3 different status here. Completely kosher, without a doubt. Kosher, after we see what happened, we have to make it kosher. And third, not kosher. What does it mean we have to make it kosher? We can count on majority. The majority say it is, the minority say it's not. Even though there is a doubt, since he spent a lot of money, we don't want to burn the money of innocent people. No, so we make it kosher. But it's called kasher b'di'eved. Same thing with the meat. There was a slight of a question of the animal. It was pure, glad kosher. There was a question. Some say yes, some say no. In the end, they say, okay, since there's no meat, it's a holiday, we need meat, the community, so they say kasher b'diavad. But all this b'diavad, someone that has very high level of belief in Hashem doesn't touch it. So this guy, when Rav Eliashiv says it's kasher b'diavad, kosher, after what happened, it's kosher. So he said, Baruch Hashem, which means 2 against 1. And he was walking out the door, and Rav Eliashiv screamed, you want to live all your life b'diavad? Which means, it's like barely kosher. You want to live all your life with a doubt in your head that your tefillin has a question mark? What kind of Jew you are? Now, this is a person who did all the necessary thing. He paid full price, he wasn't stingy, he went to a good place to buy tefillin, and, in the end, it was a problem there.
Thank you.
I'm not talking about people today that buy a Mercedes for $60,000 or $100,000, and when it comes to tefillin, get me the cheapest one. It's tefillin, it's count tefillin, that's it. What do I need to spend? When it comes to holiness, they cut whenever they can. I have 2 good mezuzot, this price and this price. What's the difference? This one is more mehudar, specialist roaded, 20 years experience, beautiful handwriting, better spaces between the words, better quality, he knows halacha even better. And the other one is also nice, kosher, no problem, but not as good. $10 different on a mezuzah. So you're thinking, 10 mezuzot, $100 extra? No, get me the cheaper one. Then he comes to Shamayim, if he has hair left, he will pull one by one from stupidity that he had to try to save a few dollars. And a perfect mitzvah, 80%. Big difference on the reward. But people don't think. They want to save now. They don't understand later when God will pay the reward, He will pay you also with saving. Hashem, you gave my friend 10 times more than me. No, with you I'm saving. Midah keneged midah, measure for measure. You wanted to save on my expense. I'm saving on your expense. Very simple. What do you think? So anyway, the idea is that a person has to make sure that if there is a doubt, there will not be any doubt. Living with a doubt all your life is not a good idea. So this mitzvah, like I said, it's number 128. It's called Asham Talui, Korban Asham Talui. Mitzvah number 129. It's called Mitzvat Korban Asham Vadai. The previous one was dependable. Depend if you made a sin or not, you're not sure, you bring it from the doubt. Now it's certain, no doubt. You made a sin for sure. It's called Korban Asham Vadai. You bring the ayil, you bring the sheep, it has to be worth shne slaim, X amount of money, minimum. Right? And some of these sins, this Korban come from some sins, whether he made it intentionally, whether he made it not intentionally. The Torah says in certain sins to bring this kind of sacrifice. So he has to bring the sacrifice, and this is when the sin is certain, not question if I did it or not. When the sin is certain, he brings that sin as a punishment for the sin that he made. Mitzvah number 130. It's a mitzvah to return the stolen goods that are in your possession. Now, let's make no mistake here. There is a sin you should not steal. We are not talking about you should not steal in the 10 Commandments. You should not steal in the 10 Commandments. It's a more serious stealing. We're not talking you stole $50. Over there you stole a person. You kidnapped a person. You locked him somewhere. You made him a slave. You took control of his life. That's a violation of the 10 Commandments. Then it's a very serious sin. It's called Dinei Nefashot. We are talking now Dinei Mamonot, the laws of money stealing. If you stole, it's a sin. If you return what you stole and made tshuva, there is an argument between the rabbis if the sin never took place after you did that, or it took place for X amount of time until you made tshuva and return it, and from now on the sin expired. It's an argument. Some say once you return it, it's like removing from the root the sin, and it's not in your file at all. Some say, no, my friend, it's in your file, but in your file, what is it like? Like a credit report. You have a credit report. You default on your mortgage, and you didn't pay for a year, and then in the end, you got money, Baruch Hashem, and you paid. What does happen in a credit report? They say, satisfied. But it's a stain. Whenever you go to apply for another mortgage, oh, this guy is having a record. Sometimes in a credit report, they making it like they're taking it completely out, that it's not even there, that nobody knows. Oh, so nobody knows. It's like it never happened. When we come to Shamayim, we'll see which opinion was right. But either way, it's a good news that the sin is dismissed. With a record, without a record, fine, but it's dismissed. But now we are not talking about this. We are talking now an obligation from the Torah to return the stolen good that is in your hand. Which stolen good? The one you stole, or anyone that stole it, you still have an obligation to return it. Which means if your friend stole a tie from a store, and now you see it on his room, you take it, you put it in your jacket, and tomorrow you go to the store and return it to the owner. Is that also an obligation, or only something you stole? This is mitzvah ashavat hakzela. Now we also have to clarify one more thing. In halacha, in a Jewish law, there are all kinds of formulas. Like in math, you have formulas. What's the formula? The Torah says there is 365 restriction, 365 law. Every law, it's a law. Deoraita, it's a restriction. Law means no, don't. And then there is 265 yes, you should do, you should do, you should do. Some of the yes, it's a direct opposite of the no, which means the Torah says you should not steal, and then that's one of the 365 restriction. And then there is you should return what's stolen, which is exactly the opposite of you should not steal. One correct the other. It's like a husband and wife, male and female. You should not steal, give back what you stole, automatically correct the restriction. That's called lav anitak le'aseh. Lav means restriction. Nitak means cut off. Aseh means a positive obligation. A positive obligation who cut, or I should say dismiss, the restriction. This is an example. And the example means once you're making the obligation of the Torah to return the stolen good, automatically you cut off the restriction that you were guilty of up to this moment. Now, which kind of stolen good? I'll give you an example. If you stole $100 and wasted, you went to the restaurant and ate with that. Obviously, you cannot steal the $100. You cannot return that $100. You gave it to the store. It's not in your hand. You have to give a different $100. Is that correcting the sin? Or it has to give exactly the money that you stole? The answer is, doesn't matter. You can do the same thing with this $100, with that. But what happened if you stole a book? He wrote tons of things on it, and it's Gemara. Every day learn, he writes. You stole the book. The book cost only $20. But so many hours of work he put into it, now you have to go and return to him really the same book, but you don't have it, you lost it. It's gone, I don't know, somebody stole it from you. What do you have to do? Or what happens if it's a sentimental item? It's a pair of shoes who doesn't worth a penny, but it's your grandfather's pair of shoes. He walked 1 week from home to yeshiva with these shoes. So you believe that it brings you blessing in your life by putting it in your wall unit. And people ask you, what is this pair of shoes in your wall unit next to all this fancy silver? My grandfather walked a week from home to yeshiva because he couldn't afford the train. So this is for me as an inspiration. How much you have to give for the Torah. And now somebody stole these shoes. Now you call him, give me the shoes. He said, well, you know, it was in my house and somebody robbed me and he stole that shoes also. I cannot return it. But I'll buy you a new pair of shoes. Huh? How much these shoes worth? It was garbage. I'll buy you a brand new one. What are you complaining? I said, what are you talking about? It's sentimental. I care about the shoes. Old shoes, like this is what I care about. Obviously, there's no way to return it. And also, there's no way to evaluate it. Because this is something that is changed on the evaluation based on who is evaluating it. According to your eyes, it's $1 million. According to these eyes, it's a penny. Right? This is problematic issues. And the Gemara speaks about all this. And the halacha speaks. Just by the way, the halacha is that there's no way to return sentimental items. No way. You return the replacement of it, and it's fine. And the question now here, what happened if you stole flowers and you made a bread with that? Stole a pound of flour and you made challah for Shabbat. Now you want to return. Now it's not flour anymore. You don't have it. You have to go and make new flour and give it to him. What happened if you stole a vase and now there is no color, orange color? You have to give him a blue one. There's no. They went to the store, you went all over, you cannot find it. There's no way to return the same item. But you can return something that's worth just as much or even more. All these questions, and there's thousands of other questions relate to this mitzvah. You need to learn years to know. Well, we don't have time, so we try to finish it in a few minutes. So let's give some ideas about it. It says like this. Im gazal, if he stole, and is in your possession, and did not change his form, which means it's still in the same form as you stole it. You have an obligation to return it as it is, not to return money instead. If you have it in your possession and you would give him money instead, for instance, you stole his tie because you like it and you don't know where to get it. And what do? You tell him, hey, listen, I am the one who stole your tie, here is $20. That's what it cost you. No, I saw the price, $19.99. Here is $20. No, but I want the tie. What am I going to do with it? Give me back the tie. No, the tie is gone. Forget about the tie. Here is $20. Put it on his desk and leaves. If he has the exact tie and he still has it, he didn't get ruined or anything like this. He has it and he gives money. It's not covering the sin. It's called chamas. Chamas. It's a different form of stealing. I come to you, I grab something from your hand and give you the exact money that it's worth. Here, don't complain. I'm giving you the money. That's called chomes, still a sin from the Torah. Not as bad as taking it without giving anything, but it's still a violation from the Torah, so you did not correct it 100%. So if you own this, if you still have it, you must return it. Then, because the Torah says, "Ve'eshiv et hagzela asher gazal," and he returned the stolen good that he stole. Why the Torah has to say that he stole? Just return what you stole. Why repeat again that he stole? Which means that specific one and not a replacement. If you have it, you must return it. No. Then the Gemara asks, what does it mean? Ve'eshiv et hagzela asher gazal. Yachzir ke'en shegazal. The same way you stole, that's how you return. No difference. And what happened if he changed in his position? It was a plant, worth $100. He didn't give it water. Now he died. It's half dead already. So now it doesn't work that much. Chayav la'ashiv damea ve'patur bekach. And if it happened, he must return full money, and then he's patur, and he's dismissed. Now, what happened if a person stole wood and burned it in his chimney, in his fireplace? Or he installed it in a building? Or he stole material and made a suit from it? All kinds of situations like this, right? So, really, if it's gone from the world, there's no way to return it, we give money. If it's inside the building, it's not really gone from the world. You have now, you build with this the Empire State Building. You stole 10 screws from your friend's drawer. 10 screws, that's all. How much it worth? $1. And it's inside the Empire State Building. One on the 3rd floor, one on the 10th floor, one on the 50th floor. It got mixed with all your screws. You don't even know which one. 10 screws. You're missing in the calculation. You stole from the other builder. Technically, from the Torah, God say, you have to take the building apart and return the 10 screws because you have them in their form as you stole it. This is really the truth. How dangerous it is to steal. But Baruch Hashem, the rabbis, the sages, took advantage on the power of attorney that God gave them. He gave them a power of attorney. What was the power of attorney? To make laws according to the needs and the weaknesses of every generation and generation. And one of the laws they made was, it's called Takanat Hashavim, the decree of the ones who repent. People who make repentance, we make them now an exception to the rule. And we save their life. And we give them hopes to enter heaven. Because without that decree, without that takana, we can dream about heaven. What is it? That even though you have to take the building apart and give it, you would go and buy a similar screws or woods, whatever you stole, and give it to him. And even if he refused to get it, say, no, I want that specific wood. I want that screws on purpose. You throw it in his face and say, just get out of my face. Here is what I stole from you and goodbye. And you got saved. But really from the Torah, you didn't get saved. But the Chachamim took the power that God gave them and made it an official law and saved all of us. It's called Takanat Hashavim. And why they did it? Because they didn't want to lock the gate in the face of people who are willing to make tshuva. If you tell a thief, okay, bless you that you came to make repentance and to become a good Jew, but go and get the 10 screws from the building. Or if you stole the land to your neighbor and build a building there, knock down the building, which cost you $20 million to build, and give him back the land, because he wants that specific land. So the Chachamim say, no, the land worth $200,000, just give him the money for the land and finished. Without them, you had a big problem. Why? Because they knew nobody would make tshuva in that case. The thief will die thief. Why? I have a building worth $100 million. I'm going to knock it down for 10 screws now. That's, you know any person who would do such a thing? And that would violate the rules of the Torah. So it's called Takanat Hashavim. There's much more to talk about this mitzvah. And obviously, sometimes when somebody stole it from you, you stole and he stole it from you, etc., etc. There's all kinds of things. But like I say, I don't want to make this whole shiur just about this mitzvah, so we move on. Mitzvah number 131, it's called Mitzvat Haramat Hadeshen. Translation, the Kohen every day has an obligation to remove the deshen, I'll explain soon what deshen is, from the altar, from the Mizbeach in Bet HaMikdash. When they burn, there is all these things that left over, it's called deshen. Deshen, why they call it deshen? Deshen, medushan, ledashen means to give, you know, like they put the garbage on the ground, fertilize, oh, that's the right word. They're fertilizing the ground with garbage. In Israel, when you go to the field, they take the bathroom of the cows, which I don't want to tell you the smell of it. You can smell it from a mile away. And they throw it, the farmers, they put it in the ground. As they plow the ground, it fertilizes the ground and make more things grow and better quality of the vegetables. So this is, sometimes garbage has a good use, depending if you know what to use it for. So the Kohen has an obligation every day to clean it from the Mizbeach. Same thing like you have a pizza oven. Every once in a while, he takes a special brush, he takes all the things, the ashes, he puts some oil, he clean it for the new batch. And this is one of the services that the Kohanim have to perform in Bet HaMikdash. Okay? And then mitzvah number 132, It's a mitzvah to light fire on the altar every day. Every day to renew the fire on the Mizbeach. Why? Because the Torah say, Bechol yom tamid, every day, always. Esh tamid tukad ala Mizbeach. Make sure always there is fire on the altar. Which means every morning you have to bring new pieces of wood, and every evening. It's not enough just in the morning. It won't last until tomorrow morning. So you have to, twice a day to bring a batch of wood to make sure the fire doesn't go off. By the way, one of the miracles that happen is that once they light the fire, they put the new wood, always when the sacrifice, fire comes from heaven and merge with the fire who comes from the ground. Two fires kiss each other together. And the secret is, first you have to light your own fire in servicing God, and then He would light extra fire in your soul and passion to His mitzvot. You have to first open, and then He does the rest of the job for you. You fight with your evil inclination, and you come to the lecture, and Hashem opens up for you more opportunities. But you got to make the first step. Same thing over here. If we won't light fire on the altar, no fire would come from heaven. Once we light the fire, then fire comes from heaven. And one more thing, one of the 10 miracles that happen in Bet HaMikdash every week is that no matter how rainy it was, the rain would never put off the fire. Usually if you have fire on the backyard and it's starting to rain, 5 minutes later, no matter what you're going to do, the fire is off. Over here, there was a direct miracle that everybody could see. The fire stay no matter what's the weather. Windy, rainy, not rainy, doesn't matter. Fire is there. Just have to bring wood every day. That's mitzvah number 132. Mitzvah number 133. Never to put off the fire from the altar manually. For whatever reason, you want to put it off now. I don't know, maybe you feel bad for the wood. You're lazy, you don't want to go bring new wood. So you say, no, now we're not sacrificing anything. Let's put it off for 2 hours and we light it again. Like we do in our grill. If you have a grill, you finish, what are you going to do? You left the fire, you put it off, and then the next time when you need, you put some oil and you light it again, right? You don't want to waste. But over here, there is a direct obligation. Always the fire should be off. So now remember, the previous mitzvah and this mitzvah really is the same. The previous mitzvah say, make sure there is always fire on the altar. This mitzvah says, make sure never to put off the fire. Why do I need this? I got it from the previous one. You told me the fire has to be always on. It's like telling me, make sure the light is always on in this room. Then you come and say to me, make sure never to shut the light off. How many times you have to tell me? If you remember, I explained in one of the previous lectures that the way of God is sometimes repeat the same mitzvah 2 or 3 times in different variations. And there is serious meaning for it. It's not a coincidence or just double warning. No. Here, it came in a language, a positive obligation. Make sure you always put wood that the fire will be on. And here comes the restriction. Make sure never to put the fire off. Which one of the two is more severe? The second one. Because every time the Torah speaks as a language of restriction, you should not, you should not, you should not, there's also subject to bigger punishments. Which means if you do one transaction, sometimes you are guilty of 2 sins. A positive, commandments that you violated, at the same time you violated the restriction with one transaction. One transaction, 2 different sins, 2 different punishments. And there's also many other reasons for it, but that's not the time right now. So, okay, now, the mitzvah number 134, the Kohanim in Bet HaMikdash, they have to eat the leftover from the menachot. I know it's fattening. You have to eat flour with oil mix in it. All the leftover after they put on the altar and they burned whatever the sinner brought, all the leftover, they eat. This is one reason why you don't want to be a Kohen. Usually they used to, people who are not Kohanim, they try to pretend they are Kohanim because they get free income. They don't have to work. They always have income. Wheat, they get for free. The skins of the animals, they get and they do business with that. They get all kinds of donations. They don't have to work. They have to work in Bet HaMikdash, and they eat shish kebab all day for free. That's the good thing. The bad thing is, how many steaks you can eat a day? Eventually it comes out of your nose. And one other thing is, right here, menachot, the more sinners there is, the more weight you gain. What are you going to do? I must finish it. I have to finish all the leftover. So, every leftover, והנותרת ממנו, יאכלו אהרון ובניו, מצות תאכל. You make it like a form of a matzah, and you have to eat. Interesting. So that's called mitzvat achilat shiarei menachot. The mitzvah to eat the leftover of the menachot. Menachot is what I said, flowers and oil mixed. Then mitzvah number 135, שלא לעשות שיערי מנחות חמץ. When you finally do the sacrifice of this mincha, right? And the part that the Kohanim have to eat, what we just said, the leftover, לא תאפה חמץ. חלקם נתתי אותם מישי. What does it mean? It says that when you make it, just like when you make matzah in Pesach, if you wait and let it rise and make it chametz, it becomes chametz. But if you eat it right away before it rises, what happened? Then it's matzah. Same ingredients. Same ingredients. This is a dough, a bunch that you made, and this is a dough. Now, you're going to decide if it's going to be chametz or not. How? By leaving it. If you leave it for 18 minutes, it begins to rise and you see cracks on the dough. Once you see even one crack on the dough, it's starting to get dry and you see like cuts. Too late, my friend. You cannot make matzah out of it. It's chametz. You got to burn it. If it's Pesach, you have to burn it right away. You cannot use it. But as long as you don't see the cracks and no 18 minutes passed, then you can still make matzah from it. What happens if you have a huge batch, like in a bakery, and you want to make 1,000 round matzah from this batch? You cannot do 1,000 matzah in the oven in 18 minutes. So what's the rule? One guy is holding and pressing the flour non-stop all day. That's his job. Why? There is a rule. As long as you press the dough down, it will never rise. Even 1,000 minutes, doesn't matter. The 18 minutes rule is only when you leave the flour in a room temperature and it begins to rise. But as long as you press it down, it can never become puffy, never. That's why, to prevent in the bakery when they make matzah, one guy is always pressing down. Sometimes it's few. They press it down non-stop until they finish this batch. They rinse, they clean everything. Then they bring the new batch. It's very hard work. That's why you pay $4 on every matzah, even though the ingredient costs 2 pennies. Water and flour, it's not that expensive. But we pay a lot for it. Why? Because it's a lot of work and all kinds of things involved around it to make it. Mitzvah number 136. It's a sacrifice, mincha shel Kohen Gadol bechol yom. Kohen Gadol, it's that special Kohen. You have thousands of Kohanim in Israel. But there is the one, which is equal to a king in his level. Special person in Israel. He is the Kohen who goes once a year into the most important room. It's called Kodesh HaKodashim, the Holy of Holies, and goes there for a few minutes and make one very short prayer to God. And the entire year of the nation of Israel and the entire world is influenced by these few minutes that is inside. Which means even if he has one bad thought inside or he wasn't focusing on what he's doing, he can fall and die immediately and they have to pull him with a rope. Because nobody else has permission to enter that place. Only that Kohen. And for the few minutes that he goes inside to carry this prayer, they prepare him the entire year for these few minutes. How to control his mind. They make sure he has a wife, that he doesn't think about another wife. He has a replacement wife in case she dies an hour before Yom Kippur. They take all the necessary caution just to prepare him for that crucial few minutes. And this is a very important person and very holy person. You don't become a Kohen Gadol because you know how to kick the soccer ball, or because you went to Harvard University. That won't get you to that room. After you become, first of all, you have to be from the grandchildren of Aaron the Kohen. And then from all these things, you have to be a very, very special person to become a Kohen Gadol. And Kohen Gadol, for instance, since he's more holy than regular Kohen, Kohen Ragil, regular Kohen cannot marry a divorced woman. Once she's divorced, she can never marry a Kohen. But Kohen Gadol not only cannot marry a divorced woman, even a widow he cannot marry. Both. Regular Kohen, he cannot marry divorced, but widow, yes. Husband died. She didn't get divorced. She loved her husband. He loved her. He died. Hashem took him. Kohen Ragil. But Kohen Gadol, even a widow. Only a woman that never got married to another man. And he has restrictions that apply only to him. One of them, for instance, right here, it's mitzvah for him, that he has to sacrifice every day, twice, morning and evening, a mincha, a gift to God. It says in Vayikra Vav, Leviticus 6, verse 13, Ze korban Aaron uvanav asher yakrivu lo Hashem. This is the sacrifice of Aaron and his children that was sacrificed to God. And that's called Chavitei Kohen Gadol, and we also call it Minchat Kohen Mashiach. What does it mean? The gift of the Messiah Kohen. What Messiah has to do here? Mashiach means that oil was spilled on his head. Mosheach, Limshoach, means to cover something with oil. Limshoach shemen, you can take a platter, take oil with your hands, and you go like this, and you make it all wet with oil. That's called limshoach. Like a paste. You take a oily paste, and you cover wood. Why? You don't want it to dry. Or leather. Or clothing. I don't know, whatever. That's called limshoach, mishicha. Also the hair. For instance, a person take oil and put it on his hair, because he wants to go make scenes with Christine tonight in a club. So he puts hair on his head. That's called also Mashiach. There's a little difference between the Mashiach and that Mashiach. You understand the difference, no? The Mashiach that will save us never knew about the clubs in Manhattan or Christine or any of that. This Mashiach, Hashem Yerachem. So anyone who oil was smeared on his head automatically fall into that status of Mashiach. We call the Messiah Mashiach because it comes from the world that they took oil in a horn. In a horn, it's like a bottle. It's like a shofar, but closed in the bottom. It's full with oil, and you spill it on the head of a person. You make him now Kohen Gadol. A minute ago, it was a regular Kohen. Once the oil touched his head, started to spill, that became the Kohen Gadol. Also, the king, Samuel, the prophet, spilled it on the head of King David. At that moment, from a shepherd, he became the king of the world. Shepherd a minute ago, the oil touched him. That's called Shemen HaMishcha. Also, you put this oil on the tools of Bet HaMikdash. You make them holy by Mosheach otam, by smear oil on them. So now we understand. Moshe Rabbeinu prepared that oil. A person cannot prepare this oil. It's a very big sin if a person make it for himself. Only Moshe Rabbeinu prepared it. It was around for a few hundred years, and then it disappeared from the world because there's no need for it. After the destruction of the second temple, these rules are not relevant already for almost 2,000 years. But, as we just said, that Kohen Mashiach, that Kohen Gadol, has an extra obligation of bringing the sacrifice of this gift to God twice a day, morning and evening. Mitzvah number 137, that no one is allowed to eat that Minchat Kohen Gadol. It relates to the previous mitzvah. It's like a continuation. What did we say before? The Kohen Gadol has to prepare this mixture of flour and oil, whatever, and he brings it every day. But let's say somebody wants to eat from it. Hey, Kohen, do me a favor. I didn't eat for 2 days. Give me a bunch. I want to eat. Give me a little bit. You have too much. Before you sacrifice, give me. Or even the Kohanim wants to eat it. Cannot do it. Nobody is allowed to eat from it. Why? It says, V'chol minchat Kohen kalil tiyeh. And the gift of the Kohen has to be complete. No one should eat from it. Lo te'achel. No one is allowed to eat it. And why is it? Because if they start taste from it, like when you make a cake, all the kids come, let me taste from the cream, let me taste here, let me taste from the dough, then it's not important. But if you prepare it for a special person, move around, nobody touch. It's for that person. If people start to taste from it, they lose the respect to God. Big deal with sacrifices to God. I just ate from it. Okay, Allah, sacrifice it. It's no respect. No one is allowed to touch. It makes it important. Mitzvah number 138. Mitzvat Maaseh HaChatat. The Kohanim has to take care of the sacrifice of the Chatat of the sinners. It could be an animal, a sheep. It could be a chicken. Zot Torat HaChatat. So what happened if, for instance, there are many details on preparing the sacrifice. From the minute you slaughter it, and you bring it to the altar, and spritzing the blood, and the place where you eat from the left, from some of it you leave, and you burn some of it. And there are many, many secrets in it. If you start learning all the secrets, you'll finish next year. There's a lot of secrets in it. Yeah, so the Kohanim have a list of instruction how to do it in the right order, and if they change or messed up something, they messed up the whole thing. They can cause you to lose your sacrifice if he does the wrong thing. So all these details of the animals, whether it's a chicken, whether it's a sheep, all these three, it's called the asiyah, the action, the preparation of the sacrifice of the sinner. That's mitzvah number 138. There are 5 different kinds in this mitzvah. One is from the kvasim, from the sheep. One is from the goats. One is from the cows also, from the cows. Whether they big, whether they small, right? It can be male, it can be female. It can also be birds, yonah, doves, or torim. There's a bird and a dove. I don't really know in English how to tell the difference between this kind of dove or to the other one, but there's 2 different kinds. One in Hebrew called torim, and one called bnei yonah, young doves. And that's, like I said, to the poor people who cannot afford to bring a $300 goat, so they bring a yonah, which probably costs, I don't know, $6, $7. If Bet HaMikdash would be today, you would have to come with your tax return. Why are you bringing a little dove, you cheap guy? You're driving a Lexus. No, here, Rabbi, look, business was very bad this year. Look, I only made $15,000 this year. I get food stamps. You know how these people drive a Mercedes, they park it one block away from their children yeshiva, and they come in, Rabbi, believe me, business is bad. We cannot pay the bill. Look, I came here with a bus. Give us a break. And then they wonder 10 years later why the kids become criminal after they went to the best yeshiva. Drive on vacation 3 times a year, Israel twice a year, Lexus for him, a Mercedes for his wife, beautiful jewelry. Comes to Yeshiva, Rabbi, you want my son? Take him, I can't pay. I'm sorry, I can't pay. And some rabbis are brave or stupid, depending how you look at that. And they say, take your son and get out of here, you and him together, and I never see you. Who do you think you're threatening? Go, take him and send him to public school. And then they're not ready for such a surprise. Then I get the call. Rabbi Mizrachi, what kind of rabbi is this? A criminal! I told him I cannot pay. And then they expect me to feel bad for them. They say, wow, you're right, he's a criminal. Then I said, did you sell your Mercedes yet? Before you called me or not? You also like this? That's what's happening. I can't believe they don't let me put my daughter in school. 5 televisions she has in the house with cable, and she wonder why. Why? They don't want the Baalei Tshuva? You know what's going on here. So the poor people come, Mr. Cohen, Rabbi Cohen, I came, I brought this little dove, I'm sorry, I can't afford. You know. What happens if you trick them? No, you come, you cheat on your tax return, you come, you bring a dove, fine. Hashem won't accept it. Over here, you have a reliable supervisor. In yeshiva, sometimes they catch you, sometimes not. They check what kind of car you are, where you live. They check your passport sometimes. No, whatever. But over here, yeah, you trick the Kohen. What's the point? You wasted all your day. You came to Yerushalayim. You wanna erase the sin you made on the last Shabbat. Who are you cheating? You have millions of dollars and you bring a little dove because you try to save $400 or $500. It's very expensive to be a sinner. If Bet HaMikdash will be built today, everyone will be righteous only for one reason, stinginess. Why? There will be police. Police catch you, Mechalel Shabbat. They take you to the court, and the judge, Korban Chatat, because it's first offense. Go to Jerusalem. Bring it. Waste a day of work. And the old days used to be a month of work, because until you get there and until you come back. No, but today it's one day. You get into your BMW, from Tiberias to Jerusalem, 2 hours you're there. You put the goat in the trunk. By the time you get there, it's choked to death in 110 degrees. I don't know, you put him on a roof. I don't know how you're going to do it. You bring him now to Bet HaMikdash. Fine. No, okay, $500. You lost the day of work. Fine. What happened next Shabbat? You make another sin, different sin. If it's the same sin, that's it. It's execution. But a different sin. Again, violation, send you to Bet HaMikdash, another $500, another day of work. By the third sin, your boss will fire you. And then when, on your resume, you want to find a job, everyone will see 3 days he missed from work because every week he has to go to Jerusalem. Every week. So the boss tell you, I'm sorry, I cannot hire you. In the middle of busy rush hour in a business, you're working for me. You're going to have to go to Yerushalayim every week. What is this? When you become a tzaddik, come back for a job. Life will be different. Today we don't feel it. Rabbi, another sin, Shabbat. Another one. Another one. Every sin is hundreds of dollars if it's not intentional. If it's intentional, oy lanu miyom hadin. Then mitzvah number 139. The Kohanim are not allowed to eat from the meat of these sacrifices of the sinners, the not intentional sinners, that after they splash from their blood inside, in the inside altar, that it's inside the echal. Every one of the sacrifice that they took from the blood to oil moed lechaper bakodesh lo teachel, ba'esh tisaref. So which means, once it was done inside, there's no permission to eat from it. If it was done outside, there is permission to eat from it. Don't look for logic here. In case you are sitting and breaking your head, what is the logic here? Who cares if it was done here or there? It's all divine logic. Trying to understand it, in this case, some of the mitzvot, try to understand, why not? Over here, you're wasting your time. You won't understand because it's all decrees directly from God. Nobody understands the secrets of this. Some of it we have an idea, but it's all divine rules. I always tell people when I speak to secular people, I let them read some of these strange mitzvot. And I say to them, no, do you think a person was able to make up such a Torah? What person would make all these rules? Where would he come with these ideas? This way, that way, cut from here, this part not allowed, this part allowed, 3 times here, put it on the ear of the Kohen, on his toe. Who would make these rules? And for what reason? Nobody would ever make it. A person is not as creative as he may be. You won't feel that to kill all these animals and to do all these strange things, they will never be able to do it. Nobody would ever think about such a thing. Then mitzvah number 140. It's mitzvah ma'aseh ha'asham. Before we say there's a mitzvah to sacrifice the asham, the korban asham, when you're really guilty. Not maybe yes, maybe not. There was one, maybe you made a sin, maybe not, you're not sure. So it's called asham talui. Now it's a certain, you are guilty, and you brought the sacrifice. Now this mitzvah is instruction how to prepare the sacrifice. The Kohanim are the servants of Hashem, and they have a list of preparation how to prepare the sacrifice. This is called Mitzvat Ma'aseh Ha'asham, number 140. Mitzvah number 141, Mitzvat Ma'aseh Zevach Hashlamim. There is a korban who called Zevach Hashlamim. And how to prepare it. This is the instructions of the Kohanim, how to prepare it. And that's called Mitzvat Ma'aseh Korban Hashlamim. As the Torah says, V'im Zevach Shlamim Korbano. If it's a sacrifice that called Zevach Shlamim, which is different than the other ones that we mentioned before, right? The Torah says, Zot Torat Zevach Hashlamim. This is the instructions of the Korban, which calls Zevach Hashlamim. Right? When a person has to say thank you to Hashem, etc., he brings this sacrifice, how to do it, how to handle it. That's mitzvah number 141. Mitzvah number 142, not to leave any leftover from the meat of the thank you sacrifice. It's called Korban Todah. Person wants to say thank you to God, and you're eating from this meat or whatever, so if you're leaving it, this is the Torah says like this. The Torah say, "Bekorban todah, lo yaniach mimenu ad boker." Do not leave any left over to the morning. And what happened? Whatever left after the eating must be burned. You have to burn it. You don't leave it to the morning. Why? Ask Hashem, when you meet him, ask him, Hashem, why did you care if some meat would be left over? Why it was so important to burn it? There's big secrets here. Mitzvah number 143, mitzvah to burn the leftover of the kodashim, different sacrifices, what we call kodashim. Yeah, if anything left, ba'esh yisaref. You know, this is also a mitzvah. Also in Korban Pesach, it says, "Lo totiru mimenu." Do not leave from it to the morning. Ve'anotar ba'esh yisaref, which means in that case you're not allowed. So many different sacrifices, you're not allowed to leave any leftover to the morning. Mitzvah number 144, shelo le'echol pigul. Not allowed to eat pigul. What's pigul is? Pigul is a korban. It's a sacrifice that the Kohen had the wrong thought about it. Now we're learning a very important principle in Judaism, the power of the mind. We already spoke many times about the power of the mouth. You say this is holy to God, that's it, it's not yours. If you took one cow and you say this is holy, my gift to the temple of God, and that cow got mixed with 1,000, all 1,000 cannot be used anymore because you don't know which one. Let's say the all white cows, all of them, they all look the same, all the same size. Which one is the one that is holy? I lost it. Every one of the 1,000 may be holy. So I have to now sanctify all of them and give it to the temple. Why? There's no permission to use it. Maybe it's the one, maybe this is the one, maybe this is the one, we don't know. So this is the power of the mouth. A person come to a woman and say, "Areat mekudeshet li betabat zo," one sentence, she's forbidden to any other man in the whole entire world. From one sentence that I told her, she became mine, and she need my permission to be released from me. And as long as I did not give it to her, no other man can even look at her. This is the power of the mouth that God gave humankind. Now we are talking about the power of the mind. It's hard to know what a person thinks. Which from here we see that when a Kohen sacrificed the sacrifices, He has to have special thoughts about it while he's busy with that. For instance, it says once he sacrificed, once he cut the meat, once he sacrificed and burned it, if he thought about the wrong one, he has to think about this kind of sacrifice and thought about a different one, right? What happened? It become pigul. It's become a not holy sacrifice anymore. No one is allowed to eat from it anymore. Why? The thought of the Kohen made it forbidden. Then, mitzvah number 145, not to eat the meat of the sacrifices that become impure. Well, how a meat become impure? A person who touched a dead body come to this meat and touched it now. He got the impurity from the dead body, and now he's transferring the impurity to things that he touched, right? That's avi avot hatuma, and he becomes ava tuma, it's rishon letuma, sheni letuma. There's different levels. The more he transfers, the less power to transfer the impurity. But the first one has a lot of power to pass it on, which means if there is any kind of impurity that makes it impure, and a person ate from it, it's a sin from the Torah. Why? The Torah says, "V'abasar asher yiga bechol tameh lo ya'achel." Something impure touched that meat and made it impure. No one is allowed to eat from it. Right? And someone who does it, Hashem Yerachem, it says punishment of karet, one of the 36 restrictions in the Torah, that the soul get cut out of the world to come. Right? That's called, if it's tum'at aguf, which means if a person is impure and eat it, then it's karet. But if the meat became impure and a pure person eat it, somebody made it impure and I ate it, I'm pure. But I ate from a not pure meat, that's a sin from the Torah, but not karet. Not as bad as an impure person who eats from it. That's called mitzvah number 145. We have a few more minutes. Hopefully we'll get to 150 today. It's easy to remember, 150. Mitzvah number 146. Mitzvah tzrefat besar kodesh shenitma. Once somebody impure made this meat impure, you don't leave it or give it to the dogs. You have to burn it, destroy it from the face of the earth. Even though you have to know there's a rule in the creation, the material can never disappear from the face of the earth, never. Even if it's evaporate, even if it's eaten by the animals, even if you burn it, it's only change the shape of it. But it doesn't ever disappear. Nothing that God created disappears. It just changed the shape. Water become gas. They evaporate, they come back as rain. Everything stay. Even an animal ate a person's body on a field, animal ate it, it's gone. That's it. Ate the meat, ate everything. It seems that he's disappeared. No. Parts of his nefesh are all over the creation now. Because then somebody cut that animal, and somebody else ate the animal. Now it's in 1,000 different bodies of this crocodile, of this lion, of this bird, of that bird. This person's nefesh separated to 1,000 different bodies of 1,000 different animals. But when the resurrection of the dead will come, and God has to put back the bodies, if a body was cut to different pieces, like in a Holocaust, when they burn people, and they cut them to pieces. Who knows the things that they did? Could be the hand here, the head is over there, the leg is over there. Some of it they burn here, some of it they threw in a different truck. And you never know, and they threw it to the water, and it went here and there. Even though it's separated to so many places, when the resurrection of the dead will come, God will collect every dot, every crumb from all over, and it will all reunite to the body it was before it was cut to millions of pieces. Why? The material is always remaining. It's never disappeared completely. Remember, no matter what, you burn wood, it looks to you that it's gone. There's no wood. It's ashes now. This ashes is wood. It just changed. But there's no way to completely make it disappear. You can bury it, it's still in the world. You burn it, it's still in the world, etc., etc. So over here, you burn it. It's true, you don't see it in the regular way it was. It's not meat anymore. It became ashes. But this is an obligation, if it became impure, to burn it, that nobody by mistake will come and eat from it. Why? Because it's not pure. Mitzvah number 147, we're not allowed to eat chelev, not chalav. Chalav means milk, not talking about milk. We're talking chelev. Chelev of a shore, of an ox, kesev, as of a sheep and a goat, not allowed to eat. So which means the Torah say, chelev from a pure animal, from a kosher animal, is forbidden. Right? Now what is this chelev? It's a part inside the body of the animal, fatty piece, that's called chelev, and we are not allowed to eat it. You know, and a person that eat from these three animals that I mentioned, whether they are glad kosher, which means there is no defect in their body, or whether they were trefot, which means there was a hole in the lung and it's forbidden to eat as it is. The whole animal is not kosher because it has a hole in the lung or birth defect or things like this. So to begin with, I couldn't eat from it. But if I eat from the chelev, even the chelev was allowed, I'm still not allowed because the entire animal is not allowed. But it doesn't matter. Chelev, it's a separate sin. And if you eat from that chelev, right, from one of the three animals, chelva kipsara, and also ubar, what we call shlil. Sometimes you slaughter a cow, and in the middle of the butchering the meat, after you remove the skin and you open the stomach, you see a goat. A goat was inside. She was pregnant. You didn't know. She's just 4 months pregnant, 5 months. A cow is also 9 months, the pregnancy. So sometimes in the third, fourth month, it's hard to see. It's a fat cow. It's hard to see that she's pregnant. Now you slaughter it, and you took a whole complete goat outside as the middle of the slaughtering. Right? So this ubar, שנמצא במעי, in one of the three animals that I mentioned, also his chelev is not permitted. Because he has also that piece, chelev, also his is not allowed. You know, when they make tefillin, they use a lot of this shlil, which is better skin, supposedly. I'm not an expert in it. And there's also a difference between some of the customs of Sfaradim and Ashkenazim about eating the meat of it, if you need to slaughter it or not. The argument is, if this animal that was found, the goat that was found in his mother's womb, is he considered a part, an integral part of the mother's body, or is considered a separate entity? Two different animals now. Because remember, without the mother, he has no life, which means right now is like an attachment to the body of the mother. Without the mother, he doesn't live. After now we're slaughtering him and we're taking him out, that we need to slaughter him as well, or we can just kill him and eat him regularly without slaughtering. Big arguments. You know, the Sfaradim are more lenient about it. That's why there's some Ashkenazim who never eats by Sfaradim at all, because they're afraid that some of the meat who comes to the table come from the shlil, and for them it's not, they're not eating it. That's their custom. And it's interesting how the Torah travel. Remember, all these arguments and disagreements which cause conflicts in halacha is only one reason for it. It's our punishments for our sins. Because the sins that we made, God threw us to the exile. And He spread us all over the world with no internet, no telephone, no connection. And the Jews all over the planet, and they have to use their head trying to get the truth out of God's Torah. And people are people. You cannot take 1,000 different rabbis and expect that they all come with the same conclusion. It's just never going to happen. And I always say to people who ask me this question, what are you wondering so much? The Torah already said clearly, if the rabbis disagree about the truth of the law, You have rules what to do, which means God already told you, expect contradictions, expect arguments, expect one say yes, one say not allowed. Expect it. It's normal. You are people, you're not angels. But I'm giving you the cure to that problem. What is it? I'm giving you a list of laws, what to do when there is a disagreement. For instance, you live in Germany, and he lives in Yemen, and he lives in Syria. You follow the chief rabbi of the place. Whatever he said, this is what I say. Rule number 1. Rule number 2, if all of them in the same place, some say allow, some say not allowed, you follow the majority. But not the majority in quantity. Not 700 rabbis says allowed, 300 says not allowed, you follow the 700 who say allowed. No. Follow the majority means in knowledge. It could be one chief rabbi against 100 regular rabbis, local community rabbis. All of them reach 70% knowledge, and that individual has 98% knowledge. All of them say allowed, he said not allowed, we follow him. We don't follow bodies, we follow level. The same thing in medicine. You have 30 doctors who say, you have to operate the brain of this boy. And the world specialist from Japan, that is the #1 in this kind of surgeries and this kind of tumors, say surgery will kill him completely, for sure, no chance. Who do we listen to? The 30 brain doctors from Manhattan and Queens and LA and Israel, who knows, or to the top world expert? The answer is the top world expert on a scale is more important than all of them. We don't combine 30 doctors, he knows 80%, he knows 80, so we do 80 and 80 and 80 and 80 and 80, it's 3,000. And him, it's 98. Oh, so 3,000 is better. No, because we compare one against one. I'm better than you, you're out of the game. I'm better than you, you're out of the game. I'm better than you, you're out of the game. You better than me? Okay, now it's a problem. You understand what's going on here? Because he has the entire picture. Each one of them has 70%. Same thing in law, same thing in everything in life. This is a very common mistake. We don't go by quantity. We go only by quality, remember. So the Torah says, there's an argument, the biggest chacham in the world, the 3 biggest chachamim in the world say this is what to do, end of story. This is the law. And hopefully soon Mashiach will come, so all these disagreements will disappear from the world. Mitzvah number Kemach, 148, not to eat the blood of the animal, of the chickens, animals. Rabbi, how do you say the difference between chaya and behema in English?
Domesticated and not, but that's not the right answer.
There is 2 kinds of animals. There is what the Torah calls behema, which means like cow, an ox, or camel is a behema, or a donkey, or a horse, or a giraffe. That's called behema. And then there's animals like deer, dogs. This is animals. Chaya, this is behema. Now, what's the difference? Some behema, some of the big, thick animals, what we call behema, are kosher, some are not kosher. Horse, not kosher. Cow, kosher. Behema kshera, behema not kshera. Chaya, dog, not kosher. Lion, not kosher. Leopard, not kosher. Deer, kosher. Deer, kosher. So that's called chaya. Behema, chaya, ve'of. There are 3 levels in the animal. The massive animal, what we can call domestic animal, or like the sheep, not necessarily big. It can be also small, like the sheep is also behema. Domestic animals, maybe that's the right word for it, are 1 level, and then we have the animals, which means they are free, they're running around, you know, they can do whatever they want, they're all over, not domestic, wild maybe. So that's the 2nd category, and then we have all kinds of birds, chickens and birds, etc. So there's no permission to eat from the blood once you slaughter from it. Now, of course, we are talking about the kosher permitted animals. We're not talking dog. Dog, you're not allowed to eat no matter what. I just heard yesterday on the news they caught a boat with cages of 1,000 dogs on the way to China to be eaten. From Thailand to China. You know how many dogs they eat in China and in Thailand and in these places? It's one of their delicatessen. Dogs can eat in the restaurants, they're dogs. Don't be surprised if, when a Thailand worker comes to Israel, the Israelis didn't know that they eat dogs. So, the dogs are running around. All of a sudden, in 3 months, almost all the dogs in Israel disappeared. Yeah, many of the dogs disappeared. So the Israelis started to see, hey, he lost his dog. My uncle lost his dog. This one, where are all these dogs? They found out. They catch them and they eat them in the apartment. They cook them in the oven. And that's what happened. Also Chinese workers. There are many Chinese workers. That's their tradition. They eat it. So what happened now? The animals who are permitted, kosher, once you slaughter it, the first blood who comes out, it's the forbidden blood. It's called Adam wa Nefesh. This is half physic, half spiritual. Half this blood. It's 50-50. It's 50% body, 50% soul. This is the part who connects the soul into the actual body. The Torah says, "Lo tochlu et Adam ki Adam hu hanefesh." The first blood after slaughtering, that spilled a lot of it out, that's dam hanefesh. Also, some of it didn't come out yet. That's why within 72 hours from the slaughtering, we put a lot of salt, and the salt makes all the rest of the blood of the nefesh comes out. Then we rinse it, and we sell it by the butcher shop. You bring it to your home, you want to cook it or you want to fry it in a pan, and you see also blood in the bag. Don't worry. This blood is kosher. It's not the blood who came from the nefesh. It's different bloods. Remember, there's different blood. So that blood, you just rinse because it's not pleasant to eat it. But if you ate from it, it's no problem. Unless if it's liver. There's no way to eat liver unless if you barbecue it first, which means you burn it. Salt, putting salt on the liver will not help because the entire liver is blood. It's soaked with tons of blood. As much as salt as you put, half of the blood will still remain. So the only way to dry this blood and get rid of it is to burn it on fire. You burn it on fire, then you can do chopped liver with it, whatever you want. But if you did not burn it, you're not allowed to eat from it. This is mitzvah number 148. Mitzvah number 149. We're actually moving to a new chapter in the Torah, chapter Shmini, Parashat Shmini. There is 6 altogether mitzvot, positive mitzvot in this chapter, and 11 restriction, which means 11 plus 6, 17 commandments in this chapter, Parashat Shmini, which probably will be finishing next week. So, number 149, the Kohanim cannot enter the temple with hair, with lots of hair. One of the biggest Yetzer Hara, the biggest impurity in the life of a person is to grow his hair. I'm talking men. For a woman, it's mitzvah to be pretty to her husband. By women's hair, there's no impurity. The longer, the more prettier for her husband only, it's no problem. But for a man, it's very, very bad to have long hair. It's so bad that the Gemara and the Zohar are speaking about it, horrible things. For instance, the Gemara says, "Amitga'e beblorito," someone who grows hair in the front or in the back, like ponytail, what we call today, or he has a wave here, Hawaii waves. You know the Hawaii, the waves in Hawaii? He has in the front. He brings tragedies to the nation of Israel. So if tomorrow, chas v'shalom, a bus explodes by the Hamas terrorist, it could be because of your blorit and his blorit, all of it together. Tomorrow there's another war with the Hezbollah. All these people who grow their hair bring these tragedies among all the other sinners. But they have a direct connection to the tragedy. What's the connection? Rabbi, come on, you're crazy. I have ponytail, because of me there's a war? Yes. Why? Because God put your soul inside your brain. You left the soul to the garbage, the divine soul, and you're focusing on the garbage who comes out around. What is it like? You have a beautiful Japanese maple tree, $500, and you have some weeds growing around it, and you're focusing on the weed. You give water to the weeds, and you let the tree die. Somebody like this is a smart gardener or a complete fool. That's the difference. I put a divine soul by you, and you're growing the hair. Plus, there's other reasons for it. Why do you think a man grows his hair? I tell you something. There are people, sometimes they come to me. I went to this rabbi. He knew everything about me. I say, what do you mean? I say, believe me, I didn't tell him one word about me. And he knew everything about me. I say, I can also tell you everything about you. Yeah? Really? I say, yes. You're crazy about women. You make a lot of sins with them. We like to go to the clubs. You like to go to the bars. How do you know? It's true. That's my weakness. I see your hair and I know what your life is all about. A person that doesn't look to make scenes with the girls, he cares about his hair. What do you need to be a Ruach HaKodesh? No, you see how you dress, you see your hair, I know everything about you. By the way, I see where you are at 2 o'clock at night. You understand or no? I see a kid, 17, comes with a black hat. I know where his head is. I can swear where he is at 2 o'clock at night, and I can almost swear where you are at 2 o'clock at night. And that's without seeing you ever before. Why? Show me your hair, I'll tell you. That's all. He knows everything about me. Okay, so what is this? Also, it's midat adin. It brings judgment. In a judgment is very strict on a person, on a Jew that grows hair. The judgment on his life is much more strict than somebody who doesn't have long hair. Why is it? Because now when he make a scene, and his friend make a scene, his friend has short hair. He doesn't show off. He's not a woman. He's not showing off his hair. And the other one is a show off with his hair. All kinds of things, you know, whatever you call it. So when something needs to happen, he needs a punishment. And he needs a punishment. The one with the hair, his punishment will be much more strict. Now I see the smile of all the bald people here. All my life I was worried why I got bald. Now finally something. I realize it's a blessing. It's a pleasure. It is. Also another problem is when you have a hairdo like this, that tefillin does not touch the head. Tefillin has to be on the head. The tefillin is in the hair. It's another problem. But that's not what I wanted to talk about. This mitzvah, the Kohanim cannot enter if they didn't have time to give a haircut and the hair started to grow. They're not allowed to do it like the people who sit Shiva. People who sit Shiva, or the whole month they mourn for their father died or mother, they're not allowed to have haircut or to cut the beard. Somebody that grow hair, it's in a status of a person who mourned from the dead person, right? And if a Kohen comes like this into Bet HaMikdash, is disrespecting God. Why? Instead of smiling and being happy that you have the honor to serve me, you come like someone who cried for his dead father? You're growing this hair? That's one of the reasons. מגודלי שיער, כמו שיעשו האבלים. שנאמר, ראשיכם אל תפרעו. And the Targum say, לא תרבון פרע, don't grow long hair, wild. And the prophet Yecheskel say, ופרע לא ישלחו. In other words, someone who has long hair, the Torah compare him to a wild beast. That's it. Now you decide if you want to have long hair or not, men, right? And there are many, many more things to say about it. Last thing for today, mitzvah number 150, the Kohanim also are not allowed to enter the temple with ripped clothes. Their outfit has to be complete. If it has a hole the size of a needle, it's dismissed. It's not considered ripped. But if there is a serious cut, right, and it opened, or the sewing opened up, or the sleeve, or anything like this, then it's also disrespecting God. And it's also like a person who mourns, because who walks with a ripped shirt? Person that his father died. He heard the news. He ripped his shirt. He cut the whole shirt. Oh, you coming to serve me with ripped clothes? What is this, a mourning? This is a happy moment. You don't come with ripped clothes. It's disrespecting. Not like today. People are paying double on the jeans because it cut and it holds like homeless beggars. Right? Their life is upside down. Everything is the opposite. Their head is not thinking, so they're looking for clothes that it rip. And they pay triple on the price because some kind of a cuckoo designer invented holes in the knees. And then he became the president of the United States one day. That's what's happening. You understand? So someone like that cannot, Kohen like this, not allowed to enter Bet HaMikdash. Next week, Bezrat Hashem, remind me, mitzvah number 150. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next week. Wednesday, I'm in 77th and Main Street. It's the Talmud series. Also 8:30. All lectures starting now 8:30 sharp, please. Today I waited an extra 10 minutes, but from next week, 8:30. Thank you.